One Caribbean, many voices. Caribbean Perspectives starts now.
Y- You know, Devon and Kanika, I have one of my things with Jamaica and Jamaica's leaving CARICOM, I felt had a lot to do with this situation that occurred with started with the Shanique Mary affair in Barbados. And then the fact that Jamaicans in large quantities are being deported from Trinidad and Tobago. You know, I mean, and I'm very comfortable saying I think that's a lot of nonsense. The Shanique Mary affair to me was the worst possible day for CARICOM. And I was embarrassed and ashamed that Barbados as a country was involved in that foolishness. You know, I think that we dropped the ball. It was unnecessary. And the deportation of large numbers of Jamaicans from Trinidad and Tobago, again, is an unnecessary irritant. If we want to have a regional community, and I as a political analyst, and I work from Kingston right down to Georgetown, why should Shanique Mary not come to Barbados and sell her wares if that is in fact what she was doing? But there was this presumption, this moral indignation that came with the presumption that someone from Jamaica would be coming to Barbados to sell services in the same way that Peter Wickham goes to Jamaica and sells services. It's different kind of services we sell it. But to me, that's irrelevant. And in the same way that people who are looking to work in construction come to Trinidad and Tobago in large numbers because they want to earn a living. Again, I don't really see the problem with that. And I think that part of Jamaica's anger had to do with the fact that you are asking me to be partners with you in a community, but you're deporting my nationals, you're locking up my nationals, you are finger raping my nationals. You know, you can't expect to treat my people so and then expect me to be happy being part of it. And I know that, you know, Kenrique is going to tell me that this is not the whole conversation because they're not a Jamaicans who move freely and are treated well. But I do feel that that was a part of it that could have been avoided. And, you know, from the time that thing started with Shanique Mary, I had said, you know, to people in Barbados, this thing has started wrong and it's going to end badly. We have
Yeah.
Jamaicans, Guyanese, largely working in Barbados illegally in many instances. But you know what? In the final analysis, it does not matter because I do feel that if there were legal opportunities for those same people to work, they would exploit them. So in Europe, people work Polish, they move all around, they work and whatnot, doing the same kind of work that Shanique Mary was doing. But it's really neither here nor there because it is something that is allowed in the community. And in the same way that I will sell my services, she must sell hers.
I agree.
But
I,
Yeah.
you
Go
know,
ahead, Devon.
it's all about implementation because I can tell you I have had some kind of similar experiences through immigration, but it does not have to do with the government. I mean, it has to do with implementation of the rules that are established within CARICOM. So a lot of these immigration officers don't understand the procedures. So I remember leaving Barbados. I studied in Barbados, right? And I remember leaving an immigration officer asking me if I need a visa to leave or enter and then to go to St. Lucia. And I'm like, what? Can't you see that my passport says CARICOM on the page?
Mm.
And so a lot of these immigration officers don't understand the rules that are established in these consular trade and economic development. They do understand. And I think that what the governments need to do is to give these people training, you know, because a lot of these things can be avoided. Even when I entered here, I had issues previously. It's because I think they generally don't know, or maybe there's a bias too. I mean, there are several things in play.
No, but
You
when you
know,
set
but
up a,
from my perspective as a Jamaican, I've never been treated badly when I was coming back
Mhm,
to school. We studied at Kville. I
mhm,
was never treated badly in Barbados ever, to be honest. And I don't know anyone personally who was treated poorly. I agree with you that Shanique Mary should be allowed to travel freely, but this anti-Jamaican sentiment, I don't know what it is. Everyone is
mhm,
denying that it exists. Because if I
mhm,
say I'm public enemy number one as Jamaican, everybody is Devon would say, no, as a Belizean, I feel it too. I know Kiala said to me,
mhm.
no, 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 it's Trinidad. But the fact is, Jamaicans are hated, but nobody's saying it. So how can we survive in a what is it that we're doing wrong, Peter? Is it that we're too aggressive? What is it? What is wrong with us?
No,
Rika,
the issue,
I'll tell you one, and I told you this before. There are a lot of Jamaicans entering these member states. Just recently, we saw a Jamaican who was caught having sexual relations with a 14-year-old here in
I'm happy you
Jamaica.
I'm happy you're saying that because just 2 days ago there is a 14-year-old Trinidadian man in the same Trinidad who had sex with his daughter allegedly. So is this a Jamaican thing?
But that's what I'm saying. It's a Jamaican and you're doing it in Trinidadian land. So of course it will be, I'm not saying that the public outrage should be different, but I'm saying it's a Jamaican doing it in Trinidadian land. And so remember, we don't see it as a Caribbean community, you know. They still say Jamaican, Trinidadian. A lot of people cannot grapple with this. They grapple with this whole integration process. So I think that's one of the issues, that there are Jamaicans making it bad for other Jamaicans.
I mean, and in the same way, there are Jamaicans making it good for other Jamaicans.
Exactly, but you never hear the good.
It comes down to what your perception of a Jamaican is. And I think that my perception of Jamaica was shaped by my experience at University of the West Indies. So I encountered Jamaicans, many of whom were very well off, and they came to Barbados and they lived a lifestyle that was certainly far superior to the lifestyle that I lived as a Barbadian. So my perception of Jamaica was different. When you look at Guyanese now in Barbados, that was a challenge because many of us saw Guyanese in different ways. It's unfortunate that people they learn and experience that they live, and they have associated Jamaicans with some of the most negative activities. Like recently, we've been finding a lot of people have been dealing drugs from Jamaica and importing ganja and whatnot. And there's that negativity that's inculcated. The important point that Kenrique is making is that everybody commits crime. Everybody has sex with underage children. I mean, all nationalities, all races. It's not anything that is exclusively Jamaicans. But what I do find in Barbados is that when you have crime that involves somebody who is not born in Barbados, the first thing they say is a man of Jamaican origins committed this crime. And I'm saying, but like, why is that relevant? The man raped somebody or beat somebody. Let's deal with the fact that the man has committed a crime and let's punish him for that. But why is the person's origin, unfortunately, relevant? But let's be fair. This happens all over the world. I mean, in Europe, it's the same thing. Invariably, that's where you go to. In the United States of America, they're talking about a man of color. It is just something that we seem to feel that we need to do to separate one from the other. As far as Jamaica is concerned, though, one of the other challenges that you have is that you're not as well known in the Southern Caribbean. And I think that also creates certain prejudices, that people don't have the level of familiarity that we have with persons from the other islands
That's true.
In
so the
Southern
perception
Caribbean.
is what they got from television, because I wish Kiala was here. She studied with me when I was studying at Mona. So we were both on campus, the same hall. And she said when she reached Jamaica, she was very surprised because she always hear about Jamaica being this loud ghetto. She expected all of us, even though we're going to come to university, to be in pink hair, and we're going to say Ray, we are good as all of that. She didn't expect the infrastructure and the road network. She didn't expect any cars or houses. She thought that we genuinely lived very much below par. And those are the questions I would get in Barbados, very innocently. Like, so in Jamaica, do you have this kind of car? And I'm like, I can't believe this is it. So what I find was that there was inter-island travel between other persons in the Caribbean. But because Jamaica is so far away geographically, we're isolated. If you know, geographically, we're isolated from the rest of the English-speaking Caribbean. And that created a perception. But that perception has led to persons just using Shutter's movie, using dancehall music, Vibes Cartel lyrics, Movado's lyrics, or whatever lyrics they can grab at, which is just an art form. And they will use that to say, this is how Jamaica is. And if a Jamaican is coming to Barbados and she doesn't have a student visa, she's not coming to study law here, then she's coming to sell her goods. The invisible goods.
And you know what? One of the things that I feel that we have dropped the ball on with CARICOM is that we have not created opportunities that force people to live in other countries. So there's one of the schemes in Europe that essentially you can apply for funding to go and live in London and study, or live in France and study and whatnot. Different culture, different language, and it's like an immersion. The challenge that we have in the Caribbean, and I remember that I learned the Caribbean being on campus, so the first Caribbean country that I visited I visited while I was on campus, because you have summer holidays. The fares in those days were 99 US to any of the islands, except Jamaica, because Jamaica was a little further. And you save up your little 99 US and you go and you sleep on somebody's sofa and you go grocery and you enjoy a lime, and you basically get to know the region that way. I always say that this generation of Caribbean people is robbed, because I went to University of West Indies when the only place you could study law was at Cave Hill. So as a result, I have a ton of Jamaican friends, I have a ton of Trinidadian friends, and these are the people that are my core group, because at Cave Hill, you had that opportunity. You can study law now on every campus, so people don't have to travel. They don't come into contact with one another, and to move between islands socially is extremely expensive.
Yeah.
I used to go to Trinidad to FET, and I mean, I've done that so many times. You decide Thursday, what are you doing? We're going to this FET on Friday or Saturday. We're going to Pan Prelims on Sunday. You jump on a plane, you go to Pan Prelims, you leave, and you go straight back to the airport and you go home. This generation does not have that opportunity anymore, because it's just so frightfully expensive. To time you mortgage your house or you sell your car, to go to Trinidad on holiday and come back is a little different. And sadly, to me, that has created, I would never be a person that sees the Caribbean islands as being that different, because I've lived in all of them and experienced all of them. I don't really know that young people coming out have the opportunity, because they don't have access to the islands in the way that we did. So now everywhere is a Jamaica, because Jamaica was far. I know everywhere, unfortunately, is far, because the cost is ridiculous. And we haven't been able, all of these years, after the federal boat stopped sailing, we have not been able to create cheap, effective travel between the islands. And that's a challenge that we will continue to face. I remember a lady who was in Scouts, and she tells me, Cecilia, that they did the summer holidays when the federal palm and the federal maple, this is back in the 40s, they were sailing. They used to go on Scout trips up and down the islands with kids.
Wow.
So they're going to Scout camps, they go to Jamaica, they go wherever, and they'll have these jamborees and they would camp and so on. When those two boats were scuttled, there was nothing left of it. And unfortunately, it means that, we don't get that opportunity to travel and to move within the region. And it's sad,
And they would tell you that a lot. And I met Karika at UAKVille as well. And so you are right when you said that. But to add to that as well, a lot of these UE students now become leaders in CARICOM. And so you would find that a lot.
Hatred continues.
You understand? A lot of people, I want to say that a lot of these negotiations and these trade agreements, all of these things can be had outside of a formal setting based on these relationships you would have developed,
Hey there, thank you for watching. Please remember to share your perspective in the comments below. Also, like and share our page for more content. Thank you.